Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and good evening. My name is Ruwa Shah, and you're watching Salaamedia. Thank you for tuning in. It has been about 6 months since the travel restrictions came in place globally. Most of the businesses were shut, taking a huge toll on economies. While most of the countries are struggling to restart, Turkey has reopened entirely and has also started to welcome foreign tourists under its Safe Tourism banner. Within a few weeks of this initiative by the Turkish government, the country is receiving thousands of tourists from many countries, especially Germany, Russia, England, and many other European countries. Now, how safe is it to travel to Turkey, and what are the measures that are in place? To discuss this in detail, we have with us Mr. Onur Emir. He is the political analyst and he is the advisor of domestic and international politics to the Turkish government. Now, if we can have Mr. Onur with us. Good evening, Mr. Onur. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on.
Right. The safe tourism call that Ankara has given, what has been the response so far for that?
Well, the doors, as we may speak, from other countries are just opening as we speak. It's a very fresh thing. But the Minister of Tourism has started on this initiative, I believe, in early April. The program that they call Safe Tourism Certification Program has been in place since, I believe, the end of May, and the institutions that would be allowed within the program have started, applying for these and bringing their standards up as early as the beginning of June. It's basically a standardization program for hotels, for restaurants, and for those vehicles that carry tourists. That includes transportation services, airplanes, and everything in between, including airports and cab services and whatever you could think of that a tourist coming to Turkey would be in contact with.
Right. So, what are the measures that are in place? Are tourists supposed to take the COVID tests before entering Turkey or when they leave the country?
We don't at this point require any kind of testing procedure for those incoming or for those outgoing. But especially for the tourists, we do require a proof of insurance from their own country that would cover if there's anything that needs medical attention in Turkey. And if they don't have it, depending on the country, it's a fee between, I believe, $20 to $30 only that they must purchase, which is a touristic health insurance, let's just say, for their duration. Because in Turkey, testing and treating, if there's any illness on the COVID side, is for free to all citizens. And if it's a tourist, if they have their insurance, that's fine from their own country, that would apply a treatment in Turkey. If not, they could purchase a traveler's insurance that covers everything if they get ill in Turkey about COVID, that I believe costs either $20 or $30 per person for the entire duration of the stay.
Right. Also, the government has started to issue certificates to hoteliers and all those organizations that are associated with the tourism business. So, how does this system exactly work? Who are all those people who are getting those certificates, and what do they require to do?
Basically, the certificates are designed and the modules are put together from a door-to-door concept. So for those that are coming in, tourists, the airports can get it and are getting it. The airplanes can get it and are getting it. The transportation services, the hotels, and the restaurant. Basically, the government, with the leading of the Minister of Tourism, with help from the Minister of Health and Minister of Communication and Transportation, has put together this massive guideline from A to Z. I mean, there are guidelines on how to use the pool. There are guidelines on how to use the spa. There are guidelines as to how much would be the difference on a food court, in the rooms, in the play areas, in the beaches, on the sand, in the sea. So it basically comprehensively covers everything as to how you should act under the circumstances of this epidemic from door to door. So the tourists that are thinking about coming to Turkey can rest assured that from their plane ride starting on, everything is covered, everything is checked very thoroughly, may I say, and everything is set to standard. And the hotels that are able to get these certificates, everybody believes that it's getting a lot of international attention as well, are much safer from any other hotels or any other tourism destination in the world.
Right. Also, Turkey has a huge tourism potential, and from north to south, there are many regions that are touristic attractions, right? So, what are the areas of focus at this point of time when it's peak summer? Are only the seasides, the beaches, the Antalya and the Izmir region, the focus, or the government is also focusing on other regions for this initiative?
The point of focus for the tourism ministry with this program was first and foremost was the Mediterranean region, mainly Antalya, the Aegean region, Kuşadası, Izmir, and what have you, and Istanbul, the metropolitan city. But they have surpassed this very quickly. Right now, this certificate program is able to service almost the entire Turkey, because there is a very diversified tourism potential in Turkey, whether it's summer or winter or in between. But yes, it started with Aegean, Mediterranean, and Istanbul, but now it's pretty much in all 80 provinces of the Republic of Turkey.
Also, help us understand if there are any countries that are exempted to travel to Turkey, or everybody is welcomed, or are there any areas where Turkey is focusing on to get in tourists from? Where are most of the tourists flowing in from?
Right now, there's no particular restriction that the country of Turkey is putting on as far as the country is concerned. However, that being said, the national flag carrier of Turkey, the Turkish Airlines, has not opened all of its routes yet. It's mostly due to those countries, internal epidemic cases that they're not opening. So there is no restriction to anybody, any nationality coming into Turkey, but there is still some countries out there that Turkey has not started operating service with. Typically, Turkey in this time, because of the mostly the summer travelers, is a very hot spot for Russians, for Germans, for Britain, for Brits, for
Right.
French, and mostly Western Europe and Russia. And right now, and to a certain degree, Gulf area. Right now, the focus is also on those countries right now, but it's only typical. I mean, if this had been a regular year, that's where we would have expected most of the tourists from anyway.
Right. Also, have there been any cases of the virus reported from among the tourists? Are there any figures by the government so far?
Nothing yet. And may I remind you, this has been officially a very short period of time to really collect any data. But there's nothing been yet. But also do realize there is a comprehensive health check starting with them boarding the plane from wherever they're coming from. So
Exactly.
they're monitored pretty closely. If there is any sign of illness, it's being acted upon very quickly, and the affiliation, which is basically going through everybody that they have been in contact with, is something that is pretty much miraculous in Turkey, because Turkey is doing that affiliation process very, very well. It tries to get to the root of the first person that they contracted from, and trying to shut the case right there so it doesn't spread on more.
Well, yes, no doubt that the World Health Organization also praised Turkey for its efforts to combat the COVID-19. But there are about 240,000 cases that have been reported positive so far. And if I'm not wrong, nearly 225,000 have recovered, which leaves us with 5 to 6,000 people who have probably died, and the rest are in recovery. So the graph seemed to be falling flat in the last few weeks. or a month, more than a month. Will this opening of tourism again hinder the fight that Turkey has been fighting for such a long time now?
It is hard to say, but may I also remind you that being said, it's hard to say. We just have to wait and see. That more depends on the situation in the countries that they're coming from, and it also depends on how they are educated about how to react in these times. Most of the Turks are becoming more and more careful about wearing masks, keeping social distancing. But that being said, please do not forget that Turkey has a considerable amount of its citizens living in Europe. There's more than 5 million Turks living on the continental Europe, and most of them do come to Turkey on regular basis, especially during the summertime. So even if we had kept the tourists to a certain amount, there is no way that we would have kept 5 or 6 million of our citizens from all over the world coming back to Turkey, which summer is a very popular time for them to travel. So could it have been maybe a more careful case with the tourists? That may be, but this is a very international country. It's got its citizens that spread all over the world, especially with the Turkish Airlines making Turkey such a hub for more than 300 cities around the world. It is hard to do that. I think the best thing to do is to follow what the health officials are advising us, keeping our social distance and keeping our masks on and disinfecting our hands and what have you on a regular basis. I think that's how we really fight this epidemic, not just by shutting down the doors.
Right, sir. Also, Turkish tourism revenues hit nearly 34.5 billion dollars in 2019, which was a huge rise from a year before that. It was a record, right? So, how is Turkey and I'm sure that this year the economy hit a new low because of obviously the pandemic. How is the government expecting or looking forward to recover from the losses?
Well, the government has put out a number of programs about fighting the economic impacts of this epidemic. These programs have been in general, and there also has been numerous programs for the tourism industry, because a good number of hotels and resorts have not opened for this season for the obvious purposes. The worst part is there was uncertainty, and there still may be some uncertainty depending on how this epidemic goes, that they didn't know when it was going to open. So there is no doubt that as it would be all over the world right now, the Turkish tourism revenue will take a huge hit this year. But I do know for a fact that this Safe Tourism program, and there are other programs coming up, the Turkish tourism industry, I do know for a fact that are gearing up for next year with the hope that this epidemic will be under control, at least worst case scenario by the end of this year, that they will make it a record-breaking year in 2021. So they're trying to do their best this year. They're trying to support the investors so that it's not a very disastrous season at least. But every effort right now is trying to being put on for the season of 2021, really.
Right. So also, Turkey is, as you said, is a major hub for tourism, and we have seen that in the last few months only, there've been a lot of tourists coming in. I mean, from Russia, from England, as you said. Do we have any figures on how many people actually arrived for tourism purposes alone?
Not as of yet. Not as of yet. I mean, there hasn't been any official numbers released. I believe the first one may be released within this week because of the July numbers, because June was pretty much officially closed anyway. But the July numbers probably will come in a few days. But the bottom line is, we do know that, especially with the Eid holiday in Turkey, the domestic tourism has fulfilled all the open hotels, all the available hotels, all the tourism industry in the south. So that may have given a big boost at the end of July. But we shall probably see the real numbers and at the end of August, because the Russian tourists have just started arriving. The British has opened up their line about 10 days before that, I think 10 or 15 days before. So we'll see. It's a step-by-step process.
Right. Also, there was a meeting held in Antalya, I believe, where all the ambassadors of the countries were invited, and they were offered a visit so that they can understand what safety measures are being taken.
There has been a number of meetings. Well, there has been a very big meeting with the ambassadors, and then there has been a number of meetings in Antalya or in the Aegean, especially, where the government has put together press for people from the media, from the press, even social media influencers, that they tour them around. They show them what the Safe Tourism Certificate is actually trying to achieve. They show them how it works in real time, in person, and I think we will see the results of those visits, because from media to ambassadors, everybody was pretty impressed as a result of those visits on site and in person.
Well, I'm not a social media influencer, sir, but I can tell you I visited the Aegean side 2 weeks ago, and it was pretty impressive that how the measures are being taken. And I felt quite safe. I always say this, that Turkey is one of the safest countries to travel, especially for women, according to my own experience, but definitely felt quite safe when I traveled 2 weeks ago. So that was really, really informative, and it was a pleasure to have you, sir. We hope to talk to you very soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. You have a great time.
Thank you. Now, moving on, we have another guest with us. His name is Mr. Serkan. He is a tour guide and he works in Istanbul. Now, let's hear his perspective, what he has to say about the Safe Tourism initiative that the Turkish government has launched, and whether or not those tour guides who are working in different areas of Turkey have received any sort of respite. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Serkan. Thank you for joining us.
Very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Actually, one of the tour guides, I'm working in Istanbul, and because of this pandemic, we closed the doors from March. And actually, we are still checking out when all the doors will be open for tourism on a real way, because now the government telling us we will start to have flights from all over the world. Of course, we open the doors, but the problem for Turkish tourism right now is especially all people from Europe and from Asian countries, they don't want to travel right now. But there's nothing to scare like before. Turkey is one of the best countries to travel, and we are taking care of our tourism very well. Compared to Europe, especially, we are now almost #1 all over the world.
Right, sir. Can you help me explain? You work as a tour guide in Istanbul, and are you back in business since Turkey is open to tourism again? Have you started to work again?
No, unfortunately not. We are planning 2021, maybe in April. Right now, we are totally 1,300, 1,350 local tour guides in Istanbul. We still don't work. We are still at home.
So this initiative by government, which has been launched recently, called as the Safe Tourism, you think that there are no tourists flowing into Turkey?
We have individual tourists in Istanbul and in other parts of Turkey, but we don't have any planned tours like round trips. The agency and the European agency is closed. They are working, of course, but we don't have any booking right now.
All right. So tourism is a very big industry in Turkey. And last year alone, there were like about $30 million revenue that Turkey touched. But this year, due to the pandemic, there have been huge losses recorded. How are you, as a tour guide, as a person who works in this industry, expecting to recover from this loss?
Of course, not only Turkey, all over the world now we're suffering because of the pandemic. But as you said, Turkey is one of the biggest country who import tourism from other countries. For example, tourism is our second national income, and more than 4.5 million people work in tourism in a professional way. Of course, but if we make double like woman, wife, and children, more than 10 or 11 million people is staying at home, and we don't get any salary. Especially we are working in a private agencies, so we don't get anything, and we don't know how it will be in the future. Like it will continue maybe 1 year more, maybe 1.5 years more, but we hope that it will open soon.
So, do you have any positive, feelings about this restarting of? Do you expect that any visitors would come this year? Because the season is there. I mean, it's peak of summer, and a lot of tourists come in for the beach side, the Mediterranean side, and then by the end of summer, when there's autumn, a lot of tourists come for the Black Sea region, I believe. So do you expect that it's going to pick up in the coming weeks or months?
To be honest, unfortunately, we don't expect any tourism in maybe until next year, because now we have individual tourists in all over Turkey. Antalya is one of the best places for swimming and
Right.
sun tourism. We call that sun tourism, sun and beach tourism. We have Russian people everywhere, in Bodrum, in Muğla, in Antalya, Alanya. But this is not the only incoming tourism for us. The biggest part of tourism for us is round trip. If we don't have any round trip, that means that only the hotel owners can earn little money. And of course, Turkish Airlines, because they have flights from Russia, from England, from some of the countries. But still, we don't have any round trip. That means that all the bus drivers, all the restaurants, all the hotels in Anatolia, in the eastern part of Turkey, in the Black Sea, or Istanbul, maybe we have more than 10,000 hotels. Mostly they are closed. So we have, of course, we have tourism right now. If you go out now, especially on the Mediterranean side, you can see mostly Russian and the English people around. But they are coming individual. So our tourism is actually working with round trips and cultural tourism. So we expect that maybe 2021 in April, everything will be fine for Turkey. Our government is still working hard for that.
Right. If I'm not misunderstanding you, what you're trying to say is, even if tourists are coming to Turkey, the business about tour guides and the people who organize those tours is not functional, because people are preferring private tours and coming in on their own and booking on their own and going back on their own. So they're not doing the tours as they would do. Can you, Mr. Serkan, give us an idea about how do you conduct those tours? I believe you conducted the tours for some people from South Africa who visited last year.
Yeah, for example, last year I had many tourists from South Africa, especially from Canada and from China, from Thailand, Taiwan. But right now, mostly Asian people, wants to travel to Turkey. European people, they are very, very, very scared. They are so scared that they don't want to go out from their countries. But kind of such a place like your country, South Africa or Taiwan, Thailand, Asian countries, people, they love travel and they are not so scared like European people. So I believe next season, I mean in autumn, we will have some tourist groups for round trip. I hope one of them will be there from South Africa.
I'm sure many people from South Africa are waiting for their country to open so that they can come and visit Turkey, because I'm sure South African people, the entire community loves Turkey. I've seen them coming here and I've seen them enjoy the country. But thank you so much, Mr. Serkan, for joining us. It was lovely talking to you, and we hope that your business resumes very soon.
Thank you very much. I hope to see many tourists next season, especially from South Africa. They will love Turkey one time.
Inshallah. Thank you so much for joining us. It was nice talking to you.
Thank
Now,
you.
moving on, we spoke to someone from the government who gave us insights about what are the measures that are there in place after the Turkish government launched this initiative of safe tourism. And then we had a tour guide who gave us the insights about that when basically we see those tourists who are coming on their own and are not taking a lot of tours. So we now have with us Gufran Talibi. She is a student in Turkey, and she's a student of biomedical engineering in Kayseri, and she traveled recently. Let's know from Gufran what it was really to travel alone in the times of coronavirus. Hello, Gufran. Can you please unmute your mic? Your mic is on mute.
Sure. Okay.
Hello, Gufran.
Hi.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. It's really honorable for me to be present with you today.
Gufran, I believe that you traveled recently to the Aegean side of Turkey, and you live in Turkey. So how was the experience of traveling amid the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, recently I've been traveling mostly like to the major touristic cities like Izmir, Bodrum, Muğla, like Antalya. And I believe like I found really strong security and safety presence in those major touristic cities, like talking about pandemic and the measures that the government take. Like first, like I felt like, okay, maybe I should not travel, like to keep myself safe, like from the corona or not capture it. But like then when I traveled and I took the step to go, like I found that the government and took like really strong safety measures that made my experience really good. And I don't regret it.
What are those safety measures that were there in place when you traveled? I believe you traveled by bus, and how was it in the bus? Were the norms of social distancing and everything being followed?
Exactly, yeah. I've decided to travel by the bus, and it was a good decision because, like in the bus, like now, because of the corona, the capacity of the bus is the half. Like no one is sitting next to you. Like social distancing is respected. Also, like they take your temperature before you go, and also like I want to mention this before you take the ticket. You have to mention like a HES code. This is like for your healthy, you're healthy. You don't have any medical background like temperature, high temperature, or like a cold or something like that. Also, like when I've been to 3 different hotels, and in those 3 different hotels, like in the different cities, all of them like respected the pandemic rules. Like you have to fill like a paper talking about your like recent health state, have like you've been having coughing or high temperature or whatever it is. Also like the towels, they are like really having like giving really much care to sanitizing, to social distancing, and I really appreciate that. Again, also in whenever you go on the street, you will find police that like making sure that everyone is wearing masks and everyone is keeping the social distancing, whether in restaurants or in the boats, like, because in those touristic places you can go on the boat trips. They make sure that those people are not taking a really high number of visitors in those boats. All of
So,
that, like respecting the social distancing. Yeah.
right. Would you recommend any person to travel to Turkey and inside? We're talking about both domestic and international tourism right now.
Of course, I would recommend because from my experience, and I met also other foreigners in those cities, and they all felt safe, which confirmed my own impression. And also, apart from the government measures, also our self-consciousness and our taking our own measures also is important. So I would recommend everyone to come to Turkey, and also I will I'm insisting on our self-conscious of taking our own measures, not caring only about the government decision and measures about the corona.
What were those own measures that you were taking, like sanitizing your hands and everything?
Of course, sanitizing in restaurants, keeping social distancing, in walking on the street, not avoiding the crowds, because sometimes in some points in the street, you can find a lot of people. You should avoid them. What else? Making sure that's for social distancing, and yeah, don't let this corona make us don't enjoy our life on traveling. Nothing can stop traveling.
Right. Gufran, you're from Tunisia, which is again a very touristic country. And I believe you have traveled there and now you're in Turkey. You have been traveling here as well. As a woman, do you feel safe to travel alone in Turkey?
Exactly. Like in Turkey, I've been traveling alone mostly. And during my whole experience, I felt really safe. I would go at night, late night, to visiting, and I would have no any problem. I think Turkey is a country that respects women. And you don't feel the difference whether I'm woman or I'm man. It doesn't matter. I'm a traveler. I go wherever I want. I dress however I want. So I really liked the situation here as a woman traveling alone. And I would recommend any woman in the world to come to Turkey and visit it, because it's really wonderful landscape.
Right. I second that because I quite traveled quite extensively in Turkey, and I agree with you. It is one of the safest countries. But also give us your experience about you being a student in Turkey when you couldn't go back home because of the travel restrictions, and you were in quarantine for a long time. How was your experience in general in Turkey as a student?
Well, I believe that Corona period and the quarantine has been really tough period for everyone in the world, and especially for me as a student. I'm away from my family, away from my home. But I live in the dorm, by the way, and my dorm took the right measures for Corona, even inside the dorm, taking the precautions of social distancing, because we are a whole number, 100 number of students, and I can say it has been tough period for me, but it passed, and I tried to make my own enjoyment by traveling inside the country. I could not go to Tunisia, but that could not stop me from discovering new places and create my own enjoyment.
Well, thank you so much, Gufran. That was really insightful, and we hope that you keep traveling and be safe. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, before we move on, we need to take a short break here, and we'll be back, and we'll be talking to someone from South Africa and who runs a travel agency, and we'll see how the restrictions in South Africa have impacted their business. Thank you, and keep watching Salaamedia.
Islamic Relief's call. For every hardship, you planted a seed of hope. You've given millions a reason to smile once again. For as long as the call remains, may Allah keep us committed. You've made such a difference being there for us and for them. Thank you for changing their lives. Visit islamicrelief.org.za today to continue changing lives together.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies, from exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans, and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal. There is no substitute for quality.
Dad, well, I've been chatting with an investment broker today and...
Broker? Did the broker tell you that our economy is a mess? There's bushfires in Australia, America wanted World War III, and now the coronavirus is traveling around the world.
Well, I also thought about purchasing some crypto.
Crypto? What's that, like another pyramid scheme? I don't trust what I can't see.
There's an apartment in Belito.
So all your family will be asking to stay there for free. And what if the government takes it away, eh?
Dad, I don't think it works like that.
I'll tell you what works. Gold. At your age, I invested in gold coins and it paid for your university fees and your wedding. No contracts, no agreements. Your investment is in your hands and you own it. With a 70% growth in only 5 years, do you still doubt gold investment? Contact RJ Coin today, 031 202 4701, or visit them at 151 Stephen Lamini Road in Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
There are an estimate of 153 million orphans worldwide. Change their lives by donating towards our Orphan Kind program. For 750 Rand per month, you can be the reason an orphan smiles. Go on, be orphan kind. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573 to find out how you can help save these children's lives. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
With Delight's range of cooking oil, spreads, rice, and maize meal, you'll be dishing out the most delightful dishes every day. Delight. Try it today. Delight is delightful.
From the townships of South Africa, the refugee camps in Syria, or orphanages in Yemen, the eyes of the needy speak volumes with just one glare. We know what it's like to be at ground zero, with food essentials, clothing and blankets, fresh water portal trucks, and even on-site navigators. We use every cent to better their tomorrow. Become part of our journey to bring relief to all. Go to www.ashrafulaid.org or call us on 011-809-8181. Ashraful Aid, under the auspices of Maulana Suhail Wadi.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Salaamedia. I'm Ruwa Shah, and we were talking about the Safe Tourism initiative that Turkey has started recently and has been receiving positive response from travelers across Europe particularly. But now we'll go to a travel agency owner, Noor Jahan from Avosa Travels in South Africa, and she'll to understand how the restrictions in particular countries are basically stopping people from traveling, and what are those restrictions and how has their business been affected. Now, if we can have Noor Jahan with us, then we can speak with her. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum, Ruwi. Nice talking to you. In regards to your question, it is a very serious one. I think the worst industry affected, especially in South Africa, I think it's not South Africa only, worldwide, is the travel and tourism industry, which is actually really in a bad state. The global lockdown has literally destroyed the travel and tourism industry and leading to unprecedented bankruptcies among so many travel agents, tour operators, hotels, car rental companies, airlines, cruise lines, and retrenchments across the board. So we are really, very seriously affected. And there is no way that we can see anything happening for South Africans to leave our borders, because our borders are closed literally, and there's no movement whatsoever of any airlines coming in or going, except the repat flights, which we are doing is where students are going to study and someone's from another country and he needs to get back home, or he's stuck in South Africa. Besides the repatriation flights, we have nothing else operating at the moment. Just recently, government announced local tourism. Local tourism, I mean, everybody has this fear in them, and everything is about, be careful. It's the peak time now. You can't travel. You have to have social distancing. So everyone has this fear where nobody is wanting to leave their homes to travel anywhere in this period. I mean, being August and September seems to be really on a high. And I find that it's not going to be easy for people to travel this year. And I can't see, in my opinion, I don't think that there is going to be international tourism, or we see a movement of South Africans moving from here abroad. Especially
Right. Also, Ms. Nurjahan, South Africa is going from bad to worse when we compare the figures of the coronavirus cases. And the restrictions put by the government seem to be logical from some point. But when we talk about the economy, obviously the economy is going down. Do you think all those travel restrictions are important or required?
In a way, yes, it is required. And it's something, it's very hard for me to tell you how it's going to work, because at the moment, due to the peak, which was expected from the beginning, was going to be August and September. So we have to make sure we pass this period and thereafter see how things work, whether it's improving, whether it's getting worse. It's something that's very difficult to say. As I said, we rely on WHO, and that is, end of the day, if they give us the option, that the government is the person that's going to give us the movement. So I can't see tourism moving from South Africa currently internationally, because since the borders are closed, even if Turkey is open and there's so many other countries open in the world, Bali is open for tourism, Thailand's open for tourism, we're getting specials every day. But unfortunately, it's a waste of time to promote it. Because if you're going to promote something when you know your borders are closed, how are you going to get the tourists there? As much as we'd love to, because we've been selling Turkey. I mean, it's one of our
Exactly.
top
That is what I was going
destinations.
to ask you. What is this that interests South African community to Turkey so much?
I have to be honest with you. Turkey took a boom from the time the movie that was released, that was the release, and Irtugul Ghazi, and it was one of the ones that I think brought in a lot of fame in South Africa. And as people watched it, and we were one of the first ones to run South African tours to take them, to show them all these highlights. And it was a huge success for us. We did many groups last year. Until March, we had to virtually close down and say, sorry, we cannot operate anymore, no flights. And, due to this restriction from our government, we had no alternative but close our businesses and stay indoors. So it is really difficult. It is really hard. Government support is not really great. We have to wait. I mean, the only support that we are, apart from TERS payments over the past few months and unemployment insurance funds, they are irregular or delayed. So it's really, really tough for us in the tourist market. And I mean, I spent more than 40 years in this industry, and I've never seen a decline like this. And
This is what I was going to ask, Ms. Nurjahan. You have spent so many decades in this business, and as you said, you have never seen your business go this low. How are you going to recover from the losses, if at all?
Well, there are many companies every day we are hearing they're closing down. They can't sustain it. I'll thank Allah, we are fine. I mean, at the moment we are fine. We can still survive another 6 months, and inshallah, hoping that things open up and the government opens the borders, and that we can be back in business. Yet we are getting so many inquiries. When you think we'll be able to travel? I mean, the question is, wait till the borders open. So if anybody wants to sell us anything, we tell them, please don't waste your time. Don't even ask us to book that package that's going half the price, because we cannot get you there. So it's straightforward that it's not worth promoting tourism currently. As much as the tourist departments are calling us, please promote us. We are open. We have other countries coming in. We said, sorry, our country, our borders are closed. We are not going to be able to promote anything right now, because you never know. I mean, we start booking, and the minute we start booking and the minute we start collecting payments, and we have to make sure these payments are sent to the relevant parties, and the next thing happens, the government says, sorry, we're not going to shut down again. And it is a huge problem for us because there's a lot of labor and a lot of intensive work here. It's not easy because we have transferred funds. We have to wait for funds to return back to us. We have to cancel airline tickets. We have to wait for refunds to come back to us. We have to reissue. The travel agency is not just buying a ticket and going. There's a lot of work to be done here. So therefore, we will not recommend anything right now, and as far as travel goes, and especially for 2020, to travel anywhere in the world.
But also, how are you seeing? Do you foresee the opening of airports at least very soon in South Africa?
Well, the airports are open, but local traffic. It's not to do with
Yes,
any
I mean for
national
the
airlines.
Mhm.
Yes. So unfortunately, internationally, only if you are going back home, or if you're a citizen, or not a citizen of South Africa, or if you're a local that is studying abroad, then you're allowed to go. And that too, the fares are exorbitant, and people are just going on one-way tickets, and it's no return. So therefore, this is not something that you can promote tourism with.
Right. Also, Ms. Nurjahan, if you can explain to us, are people in South Africa really willing to travel at this moment? Because I see people are also fearful of the virus and they want to stay away as much as they can from the virus. So do you think there is a will among people to travel? Because there has been a long time of quarantine and we have emotionally and psychologically suffered a lot in the past few months. And travel is an immediate respite from all of this usually. So are people of South Africa really willing to travel? Because since you work in this industry.
Yes, I do get calls, and I do get people asking me for advice and guidance. I myself feel that, if I wouldn't want to travel, I don't think I should expect people to travel. And I mean, it's safety for everybody, and everybody's life is important for them. So I always recommend that, listen, I think you should just halt, and please not right now, because right now we are not in a good situation to travel. So therefore, I will highly recommend that we should hang on till the end of this year and see what happens after September. Because currently I would not I wouldn't even want to look at travel. I don't even want to talk about travel right now. I've forgotten in the 6 months that we have closed and what is going on. But it is really tough. I have to say that we are the worst hit out of all industries.
Also, you said you wouldn't want to travel and that there is this personal loss that you have suffered because of the same. And so do you believe in a way the government's decision to impose this travel restriction is required?
Well, the government is doing to protect its citizens. Therefore, it's something very difficult for me to say that the government is not doing or deliberately not opening up the borders. One has to look at all logistics, and I think they are looking at logistics, and therefore it's not easy for anyone just to travel without the government saying it's clean, it's clear. Our borders are now, we have a good decline in numbers, and it's not we don't have a decline in numbers, and we have an incline in numbers. It will then make it easy for someone to say, listen, you know what, things look good now, we don't mind traveling. Everybody is living with fear. Currently, when you talk to anybody, they all talk about it. What happens if we go? You're sitting on an aircraft too, you don't know what is going to happen, because you must remember, even there's social distancing on an aircraft. There's still the crew on board. There's still lots of things that you got to look at. So I would say that we should stay put until the end of this year.
All right. Also, you conducted a lot of tours with Salaamedia last year, I believe. Would you tell us about that experience? How was that?
It was a fantastic experience. I must say, Azhar was with took two of our tours. I think it was one of our tours in June and last year, June and July. I think it was July we had this tour, and it was one of the first tours of the movie that I was talking to you about, Usman and Idrilis. And I think what we seen, we had everything on social media, and that gave us a huge boost on Turkey because of what they seen. And in fact, the movie, the pictures and the stars and the real shooting, the places where they did the shooting, and also, the history of the Ottoman Empire was so interesting. So I'm not going to elaborate much about it, but I think if you go onto our website, you'll see all of it on our website where we speak about these tours and how people enjoyed it. And we had such good feedback from most of our clients, and the hotels that we used in Turkey were excellent, and the quality, the people in Turkey, the tour guides in Turkey, everything in Turkey is good, but unfortunate and affordable for South Africans with our currency being so weak. So definitely Turkey is a winner, and Turkey is definitely going to be a destination that once the borders open, I can see a flood of South Africans going back to Turkey. And I must say, Turkey is best enjoyed in a group. Individually, not easy, because you know what, there's lots of interesting places in Turkey which cannot be done within half an hour and 1 hour. There's lots of long drives to see most of the historical sites.
Mhm. You're absolutely right. It's a beautiful country, and now that they are open to tourism, I hope and expect other countries to open their borders and, let people flow in, because it's been a long year, and we want this year to end on a good travel experience. But thank you so much, Ms. Noorjahan. It was really great talking to you, and I hope to see you sometime soon again.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. It was very nice talking to you, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me on board. Assalamu
Thank
alaikum.
you. Walaikum salam. Well, that was it for tonight, and we heard the people talking about how safe or not it is to travel in Turkey, and with the operations about domestic and international tourism on, people are able to come in to this country. But there are many countries that have not opened their borders, which restricts people to flow in to Turkey right now. But we expect that things get better, and we have had enough of this year till now. That was it. We'll see you next week. Keep watching and sharing the videos that we do on Salam Media. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.